them all, a mouth-watering 3D printed mouthpiece and compostable sneakers. So the first one is we're going to be talking about a really amazing platform, really. It's called Fieldnode, and it was actually a spin out of a Fieldmade. Fieldmade is a place where, well, it's a company, it's a Norwegian company. They make kind of like ruggedized 3D printing containers. So the idea is, let's say you're in a mine, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, on an island somewhere. You have a container with power supplies, with printers in them, and the idea is that it'll let you 3D print in all sorts of areas. Now, Fieldmade could seem a bit idealistic, perhaps, but it has seen adoption with military and especially oil platforms. Now, I had a thing called Fieldnode, and Fieldnode was like kind of like a Thingiverse, but then for the participant companies of Fieldmade. Now, I've said before that these kind of company-wide or industry-wide or military-wide Thingiverse type platforms are supremely valuable, because that's how you spread the technology. That's how you make sure that somebody can print a part and print that part well, and then print that part in 10 different countries. And well, the oil industry has totally agrees with me, and they're putting their money where their mouth is, because rather than turn to 3Mind or other platforms, or each make their own, now ConocoPhillips, Equinor, Shell, TotalEnergies, Vår Energi, Woodside Energy, ICP, and now ExxonMobil and BP have all joined this platform. That is insane. That is like an adoption of some of the largest, and nearly all of the largest oil platforms in the world, in one digitization platform for sharing files. From what we can tell, each one would have their own different files and their own different access to different things. But the fact that these guys aren't going to adopt their own technologies, each of them, or aren't going to turn to a company like SAP or something to do this, or Siemens or whomever, and or aren't going to turn to commercial alternatives like immense and all this other alternatives, but they're just going to essentially white label their own one, is, I think, a really cost-effective solution. I've never tried out the Fieldnode platform. I don't know if it works well, but I do think this is it's a really way to really save a lot of energy. So why is this so important? Now, this printing of the files is important. Printing of the files with the right settings is important. Printing it globally, printing the right versions is super important. And also, think about this. There's multi-billion dollar opportunities only in MRO for oil and gas. And all these oil and gas companies are one big platform now. On top of that, there's another multi-billion dollar opportunity, is to be the fire hose, if you will, of all that data and all those orders. To be able to direct these orders and get a platform that prices these orders and gets them made in and of itself. If you only take a small percentage of each of these orders, you're able to use your market power to do them. That is also a huge opportunity. On top of that, if they make this Fieldnode platform smarter, do a lot of file identification, maybe automated qualification, then that in and of itself would be a multi-billion dollar opportunity as well. Think about it. They've got hundreds of thousands of parts that are valuable and could be 3D printed, but they've got millions of spare parts. How do you identify them? Now, a lot of companies like Castor and all these companies are working on that. But once you have that, how do you make sure that it prints correctly on a Renishaw M300 in stainless steel in South Africa or Peru, right? That is a really difficult thing. And if they if you would have to really kind of unlock all these opportunities yourself and actually manually qualify all these parts with hundreds of thousands of parts per oil company, that's going to take more days and years than we actually have to implement this technology. So that's another bottleneck. And just the general kind of like this cash flow that these companies can save by printing on demand is another multi-billion dollar opportunity. So this is a huge thing for Fieldmade to have the spun out kind of platform be used in this way. That's a huge thing that say these oil companies are willing to invent their own technology. And also it's exposes a central conundrum for us as well, right? On the one hand, we could be the people that implement these new digitization technologies, or they could rely on more traditional suppliers, which we are seeing in the military. In the military, the Air Force and other countries Air Forces and stuff are relying on existing suppliers they're comfortable with, rather than go to the 3D printing industry. And they may do stuff like this, where they build their own platform. So this is kind of something that could be happening in a lot of areas as well. But this is probably the biggest opportunity in MRO, the most critical opportunity, and one of the biggest in terms of just the volume and the value of parts of this oil and gas, this energy industry. And it seems like These guys are all plumping for this platform. The next thing is it comes to us from Vivobarefoot. Vivobarefoot is a shoe brand, and what they're doing is they are working together on with Balena, which is a kind of sustainable material spin-off, and they're going to use Balena's thermoplastic elastomer 50% bio-based material called BioCirflex. BioCirflex is industrially compostable. It's important to note that means that it is not it's not biodegradable in the sense that you can put it in the ground and then it would just automatically always in 30 days be compostable. So it's not compostable as you could put a label on it as some packaging is and stuff like this. But if you would to treat this material in an industrial facility correctly, then it should be compostable. That means that it's definitely very much a hell of an upgrade compared to all the other shoes that we're seeing in the world today. Now, this is another engagement by an existing shoe company, in this case, one of these barefoot shoe companies. The largest one of those, I think, or the most prominent ones for sure, with 3D printing. Now, what they're doing, though, is besides the compostable, which I think is a nice thing from a sustainability viewpoint, they're doing a scan to print to soil, they call it. Now, the soil is another one of them we don't know. Also, I don't know if 100% of the shoe will be compostable or just major parts of it. But what I do like about this is that their whole workflow is you use your phone to 3D scan your foot, and based upon that, they're going to make a unique kind of sole. And that'll look like this one. And then that sole will be then incorporated into the rest of the final shoe, which you see in the orange. Now, again, we don't know if it's orange and all that, if those pigments and those dyes or whatever they're using are also compostable, if they use eyelets and other things that maybe aren't compostable. But hey, it's a hell of a step further, depending on, compared to everyone else in the world that's using 100 different materials, 200 steps dragged from all over the earth to make shoes that are almost impossible to recycle in any kind of meaningful way. Because you have to separate out so many different materials and so many different steps. You kind of have to do it by hand. So this is a step forward, right? And the other thing that is a step forward is implementing the scan methodology. Like Nike and Adidas, all these companies have flirted with 3D printing, and so far they're keeping within their own workflows. They're keeping within their own system of ordering 100,000 shoes to be manufactured in Vietnam 14 months from now, and they're not going to this on-demand opportunity or the scan on demand, so you can and that's a bit bizarre really thinking about it, because a lot of people have two different feet, two different sizes, or like I have a hard arch in one of my feet, so that means that sometimes I could benefit from having different sizes, not because my feet are the different size, but because the arch of my foot is just more pronounced in one foot than the other. A lot of people are like that. And no one actually fits in all these like 7 or 6 or whatever prescribed sizes perfectly. So, to get a perfect size, can be a huge step forward for a lot of people as well. So another good development about 3D printing shoes. And the next part is, this is from a company called Proclaim. Now, what Proclaim is doing is furthering the oral innovation with 3D printing. Inventions, right? There have been a ton of people that have tried to make a better way to brush your teeth, a better way to whiten your teeth, or a better way to clean your teeth in some way with 3D printing. So a lot of these guys have failed, and not per se because of the 3D printing part, but because they were undercapitalized, or they weren't doing it properly, or the thing didn't work, or in some cases the marketing was just plain scary. But we know that this workflow, this scan to dental to part, workflow, we know that this works. We know that this is something that can provide a flexible part, usually via a mold, 3D printed mold, and then that makes a silicone end use part. And we know that part functions as a brace, as a teeth whitening, as a mouth guard, and all that kind of stuff. Now, what we haven't been seeing is a lot of people innovating with making these things actually go to market, doing other things than just invisible liners. So what these guys are doing, they are doing something that is using the same technology, the same workflow, the same software, the same printers, everything, but they're coming up with a new invention. They call it the Custom Jet Oral Health System. And the idea is this: it's you use an oral scanner to scan your mouth. Then you 3D print a part that has 60 water jets inside of it at strategic locations around your mouth. These water jets are so positioned to clean your teeth, the gaps in between your teeth, and your gums. And the idea is that it is specifically set up for gingivitis, to protect against this gingivitis bacteria, and specifically to eliminate this bacteria. They have done some research. They say that some people say that there's a reduction in gum bleeding and there's a reduction in sensitivity, which could be very positive going forward. It is a new thing compared to just a water blasting kind of thing, or compared to just using kind of a mouthwash or something like that. It's just a kind of a new thing. It costs $900, which could be priced, but given the fact that the cost of gingivitis and the cost of gum bleeding, gum receding, kind of things, that could be an investment for a lot of people. I don't know if this is going to make it as a product. I do think it's innovative. I do think it's interesting, and I do think that that there will be people out there that care so much about their teeth, or that have such a problem with gingivitis, or worry so much about gingival issues and stuff like that they could maybe plump for this. What I'm surprised at is that this isn't available at the dentist's office or something like that. Maybe it needs more regulatory approval. It's too expensive and that kind of thing. But they would need approval for this as well. So I don't know. This would be a nice thing at the dental office. The company touts and says that in 7 seconds it can clean your teeth. Well, that could be a hell of a thing for your oral hygienist to do and use as well. I don't know. I don't know why it's there, but this is an innovative thing that's happening using 3D printing, so we should applaud it. Anyway, my name is Joris Peels. This was 3D Printing News on Peel. Thanks to 3dprint.com, and you have a great day.